Brock's shoulders concerning. The Niners need to be smart. You don't offer him a 5-year deal. Offer him something in between. Draft a quarterback. Hedge your bets. That's all. I mean, I think we kind of agree on that. But that's not what Kyle's going to do, especially if we tell him to do it. What he's going to do is trade for Kirk Cousins. Because here's the thing. He knows he can't scout quarterbacks or develop quarterbacks. He got lucky with Brock.
Yeah.
And even when he drafted Brock, he didn't know that Brock was the best quarterback on his team. He had no idea. He said he knew, but he didn't know. So he's got to have some self-awareness to know he can't do it twice. He's the same guy who drafted Trey Lance and CJ Beathard. He can't do it. So the one quarterback he has a good relationship with who will run his offense the way he wants it is Kirk. And they have Michael Penix Jr. over there. I think like you could get Kirk. It's not what Niner fans want, but if you guys want to give Kyle Shanahan one more chance, this is his last. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it.
Do it. I'm down. If they would have got Kirk Cousins, but instead of signing Jimmy Garoppolo, if they would have waited, got Kirk Cousins, Niners probably have a 6 Lombardi right now. That's my opinion. I think Kirk can make every throws. I think Kirk is a little underrated and hated on by 49er fans for whatever reason. He is he's a good quarterback. He's not mobile. He's going to have to get the ball out quick. 49ers going to have to invest in some protection for him. But there's no doubt in my mind that Kirk Cousins can run this offense exactly how Kyle wants it, and Kirk can make every throw on the field. I'd be down.
I think Goff is better than Kirk. Goff's been to a Super Bowl. Kirk hasn't done much in the playoffs, but I think the gap, they're pretty similar style of quarterback and in terms of how they don't move that much and their arms. Maybe they're pretty freaking similar, man. And if the Lions can have that much success with Goff, then I could see Kyle saying, like, I know I could succeed with Kirk. I've been wanting to do this forever. The thing is, it just seems like with a quarterback like that, he needs to have a good offensive line, and they need to make more of an commitment to it than what they've done with Jimmy and Brock. Okay, you put Kirk behind this line, he'll get hurt. He already had an Achilles.
Here's the thing, man. Like we're talking about quarterback, what they could do at quarterback, and I'm down for Kirk Cousins. I know I'm probably in the minority here out of the 49ers fan base, but the problem is these guys are going to have to work magic this offseason. If you look at this team now, they're going to be a year older. The problem that you're seeing with a lot of these guys now is they're old. They're washed up. A lot of these dudes, Juice, Debo, CMC, Trent's getting a year older. How are they going to fill those gaps? How are they going to fill those voids? They have no D-line outside of Nick Bosa. They failed to draft any kind of replacement for Colton McKivitz, Jake Brendel, or Trent Williams. So regardless of who's at quarterback, you're going to have to work absolute magic this offseason to fill those voids.
True. Dale says the wild Brock speculation is off the charts today. Fair. I mean, the Niners have done this consistently throughout the year, like underreport a major injury to a significant player. And it went from, it's sore shoulder to he's not playing and we'll see if he plays next week. Like, is it not fair to be like, hey, maybe this is bad? I don't know.
Why be on the charts?
I wouldn't take it for granted. I want to see what he can do this week. He looked terrible against in hindsight, going back and watching that game against Seattle, knowing that his arm was messed up, he looked awful in that game. He was missing really easy throws that he normally makes.
He was I mean, there's a lot of things going on with Brock that are interesting. He's struggling in the red zone, obviously. The last 2 games, he hasn't taken the top off at all. He's creating with his feet, but the question is it too much? Like, is he missing open opportunities that he had if he would have just pulled the trigger? It's really Brock hasn't been great since Baltimore. Like, after that game, he has not been great.
Gold's House is signing Brock up for BJJ. I don't know what that means.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, sure.
Well, how would
that's work for Tua, right? Although he got hurt again. Shady Luke says, I hope the Niners learn from this season that you don't have to give in and pay everybody top dollar. Shout out to Howie Roseman. Saquon is cheap for Philly. Yeah, I think the Niners really compromised. I think Kyle Shanahan compromised his authority, just giving Brandon Ayuk whatever he wanted after trying to push back against it I mean, Deebo Samuel's become a complete diva, making all that money doing nothing and checking the specialists on the team. It seems like by paying everyone on the team, Kyle Shanahan kind of lost some respect. I don't know if respect's the word, but no one's scared of him anymore. No one has anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
know.
Am I freezing or is it you freezing?
It's you.
Yeah, sorry guys. I apologize for that. Let me turn off my Wi-Fi on my phone. In hindsight, right? Hindsight, looking back, this was the season to move some dudes and start a rebuild, trade some guys a year early, right? Bill Walsh was saying it's famous for saying trade guys a year early versus a year late. It's hard. Like, to their credit, like to their defense, you just went to a Super Bowl. Like, you just went to a Super Bowl and lost in overtime. How are you going to be like, okay, sell everybody, right? Like, I don't. That's hard to see, but in hindsight, that's what they should have done.
And you look at a team like the Packers. I mean, they have a bunch of good wide receivers. None of them makes a lot of money. I mean, no one's making Deebo or Ayuk money. Josh Jacobs is arguably better than Christian McCaffrey, at least right now, and he's not making Christian McCaffrey money. Like, really, in hindsight, that Christian McCaffrey contract was the worst one this offseason. The Niners didn't know that Brandon Ayuk was going to get hurt, and maybe if he didn't get hurt, he would have rounded into form. Although I don't know. But Christian, man, like, you made him the highest played running back in the league at his age, coming off what he's coming off. That was bad.
Yeah, that's one they could have saw in advance, right? He was injured at the end of the season. They knew he was still working through something, and they paid him anyways. That's one there's really no justification for. I would have wanted let's see you come back and actually play in a game, and then we'll work on your contract type thing. And now they're in a tough spot because is he ever going to return to the Christian McCaffrey we've seen before? And now they're stuck paying him. And they got Jordan Mason, who's going to be a restricted free agent. Are they going to be able to match whatever offer he gets? What are they going to do at running back? So that one is definitely ugly, and it's something they could have seen up front.
Baby Radiant says Sorensen should be fired by now. And Andrew Hatley says, do you think Kyle is losing the locker room yet? I think he's been losing the locker room all year, and I think that's what people are afraid to say. I think he's been right in front of our faces. Like, the whole Brandon Ayuk thing. Brandon Ayuk, all offseason at training camp, was kind of thumbing his nose at Kyle, being like, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? I'm here. I'm not practicing. You're not finding me. What are you going to do about it? Then he gets his money. Give me my money. Every freaking red cent that I wanted. Then he goes in and starts playing power games, little mind games with Kyle about what shorts he's wearing. Like, that's a slap in the face. I don't respect you. I'm going to do what I want to do. I feel like if I were head coach and my players started doing stuff like that, I'd be like, man, you really don't respect me anymore. Like, you're trying to show me up and show the team that you're in control. And I feel like, I mean, Deebo did it. Deebo slapped the freaking long snapper, and Kyle's over here being like, oh, it was just a baby punch. And then the long snapper overreacted. Like, whoa, buddy, you're losing the locker room, and you're like pandering to the guys who don't seem to respect you like they should.
Well, there's two guys I guarantee you he's lost. I'm not sure how important it is because of their ranking on the totem pole of 49ers in the locker room, but I promise you two things. Josh Dobbs said when he was announced to be QB3, he said he feel like he earned it. And I'm sure he saw Brandon Allen march out there with a splint on his finger, fumble the ball twice, and Josh Dobbs is feeling some type of way. I can promise you that. And I can also promise you that Jordan Mason, who was the third leading rusher in the NFL, trending to be the fifth leading rusher on the 49ers in the history of the 49ers, I can promise you that he's lost. Kyle Shanahan has lost him based on him just extinguishing Jordan Mason from the rotation. It's just unfathomable what he did to Jordan Mason. I promise you he's pissed off.
And what about Nick Bosa? I mean, Nick Bosa didn't seem to like Steve Wilks. That was Kyle Shanahan's choice. Kyle Shanahan fires Steve Wilks, brings in Nick Sorensen, and I mean, he elevates Nick Sorensen and brings in Brandon Staley, and now they're like way worse. I mean, at what point are these players on defense going to look around and be like, man, we suck, one, and two, we trusted Kyle to get us the right coordinator. We have like one of the worst coordinators in football, and it's been like that. I mean, I'm not gonna dump on Steve Wilks. I think he's underrated, but I don't think Bosa liked him. I think from Bosa's perspective, Kyle's over his last two choices at D coordinator. He's wasting Bosa's career, and it may not just be Bosa. Who knows? It could be Fred Wood. It could be the whole defense.
Yeah. And then they didn't invest in any help for him. I mean, Leonard Floyd had a good game yesterday, but I think that's because, lack of, no one else was
They
there.
can't even stop the run.
They can't stop the run. They look awful.
I don't give a damn about their pass rush. They can't stop the run.
This team's identity was defense and stopping the run, and they are the opposite of that right now. Their identity.
They can cover, but their defense is soft. Yeah. And that's what you call a defense that can't stop the run. I'm sorry. Like, they're soft. And they didn't used to be soft. They used to be like the toughest defense in the league. They gave up sorry. Shady Luke says, I've always thought Shanny is overrated, but I don't think he needs to be fired. But he for sure needs a talk. Dude is smart, just needs to grow. Dude, people always say that, though. He needs to grow. He needs to mature. He needs to make an adjustment. Someone needs to talk to him. Man, he hasn't changed at one iota since he entered the league in 2008. You don't think people have had a talk with him yet? You don't. This is Kyle. This is what makes Kyle Kyle. His unrelenting stubbornness.
Yeah, and it starts with like the problem with one of the biggest problems with Kyle Shanahan is his philosophy and how he approaches the offensive line. And I don't think you're going to change that philosophy for him. He's dug in on that, and he believes that you don't need to invest heavily in the early rounds and build an offensive line. You just need a specific kind of lineman that fits his system. And I don't think that's ever going to change. And to me, if that doesn't change, nothing really will. Like, I think
what we're seeing with him too is like, okay, you have Jordan Mason and Christian McCaffrey. Like, you have talent, but it's not exactly the same configuration of talent that you had before with the gadget guy and the positionless running back and the true X receiver. Like, you had a specific formula the last couple of years and it worked. Now it's like you have a lot of talent. It's just a totally different combination. And it's like, all right, Kyle, be creative. Like, figure something out where Jordan Mason and Christian McCaffrey are on the field together. And he won't do it because he has a scheme. And that scheme calls for use check on the field and certain things. And it's like, he really isn't that. He doesn't really think outside the box very much. He's very locked into his paradigm, which is his scheme.
And he's also locked in the guys. There's no meritocracy. And I don't know if that's going to change either. Like, someone's going to have to overstep him and say, look, I don't care if you're friends with Juice. I don't care if you're friends with CMC. I don't care if you're friends with Debo. You have to play the best player. And he's not doing that. And I don't know if that's going to ever change either.
I mean, one of the things about the Patriots culture with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick is that played the best players. It didn't matter how much you were making or where you were drafted. And it didn't matter if you were the greatest player of all time or a special teams guy. Bill Belichick would talk to you the same way and hold you accountable the same way in front of the team. And one of the ways he set that culture was by really being critical of Tom Brady in front of everyone and Tom allowing it, at least for a long time. Kyle doesn't seem to be that way. It seems like he's critical with people like Jake Moody, or not even Jake Moody, Tabor Pepper. But when it comes to actually saying something about Debo, it's crickets.
Right.
And that's a problem. You got to hold everyone accountable the same way, especially your friends.
He's not I don't like using this word because it's overused, but he's not the alpha in the room, right? Nope. He's underneath certain players and he's scared.
He's sidling up to certain alphas.
Yeah.